You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm and Jupiter. A world-class experience. Visit BremenBMW.com. And by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Kevin's Other Show. I'm your host, Kevin. We got Rick and Bobby up in here.
Hello, Kevin.
Diener is back with us today
Hello, sir.
for a Monday little rundown of all the fun stuff from the weekend. We're also going to be talking a little bit about college football now that some of the spring games are pretty much all wrapped up. Canes have packed it away. Them Fighting Owls have packed it away. So we'll talk to Chris Felica, the Bear from College Game Day, going to be coming up.
That's nice. Awesome.
Breaking it all down for us. Talk about UCF's national championship rings. And the interesting thing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be doing, their silly gimmick for the draft on Thursday night. So, let you know the latest on all that. Well, the Heat down 3-1, game on Saturday. And we pretty much packing it in. Do you think the Heat have got any chance coming up in the game tomorrow night? Got to go back to Philly.
Well, I mean, I have them losing in 6, so they got to win at least one more. So I think they can.
I am not backing off of Heat in 7. Look, they had to lose 3 games in order for them to win in 7,
The Heat
right?
win in 7?
That's right. I'm not backing off.
Okay.
That was my prediction. I feel a little lonely with that prediction.
I got the Heat. I had the Heat losing in 5.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So
you had it over tomorrow night. I got to at least go until Saturday.
Whose pick do you feel best about?
I feel more confident in your pick at this point. Yeah, I don't feel very confident in mine. But look, I said 7. They've lost 3 games. We're halfway there. Now they just need to win 3 more.
We're halfway to winning and maybe losing.
Sticking with it.
How do you feel about Saturday? It's 106-102, the loss. Look at Whiteside. Okay. 26 minutes, 13 rebounds, 13 points. That's the best he's done in the series.
I was gonna say it's not that bad. I mean, it's a pretty good double for him, especially when he's done patoot the entire time.
Yeah, I mean
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, are we just because we were expecting so little out of him that's great, or is that enough to save his job with the Heat?
Yeah,
Do you see him back?
The saving his job thing might be tough.
I can't see him going. I mean, I feel like there is a fractured relationship
who do they have
there.
if he goes? That's the problem.
If Bam can continue to develop, then he seems like a pretty solid. He reminds me of Whiteside, a guy that kind of came out of nowhere. But at least with Bam, he came to the draft. As with Whiteside, he came from the YMCA. So it's a little bit of a different path. But I mean, there's definitely a fractured relationship. He's a crybaby. He gets on everybody's skin. And that's not a good thing to do when you're getting under Spo's skin and Pat Riley's skin. I just don't know how they get rid of him. There's so much money there.
He's getting under Shaq's skin, too. Boy, if you're watching the halftime breakdown, Shaquille O'Neal was going off just watching game film of Hassan Whiteside. And here's his breakdown of what a lot of people were seeing.
And still waiting for an impact from Whiteside in the series.
When you're a big man and you make statements like, I'm not getting the ball, I'm not doing this, your statements are heard. However, if you don't want people to turn on you, got to make the right play. Right here, you're supposed to duck in with energy and stay in there till the referee calls 5 seconds. Then when they swing the ball, that's a big man dream. You got the guy on your back, seal and play. Right
He gave up on the play.
Right here, you got to pick, you got to roll hard. And then if you ask for the ball, when they throw it to you, you got to deliver, Ernie. And right here, follow the damn ball, man. Follow the ball. Act like you want it. It make me mad watching this kid play.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of all the Heat fans feeling right there from Shaq.
Act like you want it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
How do you pay that guy that kind of money when it's a guy that's playing as Shaq's review, doesn't even seem to want it?
Before he was paid that kind of money, he did act like he wanted it. And
right.
And the player that he was prior to the big contract was a great player. Then they signed him to the big contract, and he was a sucker to that. And that's basically what it is. And that's what I said the last time. Is that if you want somebody to succeed, don't give him the money right away. If you can hold off as much as possible, do it. Because he's going to get that big check fever. And then everything's going to go right out the window.
Well, look, the Heat were in the position when they signed him to this big contract, he was it. I mean, you have to remember when this happened.
There was nobody else.
There was nobody else. Dwayne Wade was moving to Chicago. Chris Bosh was found out he couldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, those were 2 guys they thought they were going to have. And then it all imploded on them, and they've said, "Okay, he's the only guy we have left."
What is Chris
and they had to
Bosh
do with
doing
it.
nowadays?
He's actually still wants to make a comeback, but
trying.
Jeez.
he was that was it though. They had to do what they had to do.
Yeah, you really had no choice at that point in time, which is true. But I mean, the amount of money they gave him is not worth it. They're going to try and find a way to get out of it some way, somehow.
of course
They have
not.
to.
It's terrible.
Well, it just looks to me a lot like the Heat just got the tough draw. I mean, the 76ers, I think, look like the best team in the East.
Are they?
I think they might be. The way that I'm seeing
I
it right
said.
now,
Do we have to start accepting the fact that Philadelphia 76ers might be the best team in the East?
I said Diener's not going to accept it until the Heat get eliminated. Then all of a sudden he's going to be like, well, at least we're going to lose to the champions. That'll be the way he switches his whole entire thing.
I mean, who looks better?
In the East?
Who
Nobody.
looks better
I
in
don't
the
think so.
East?
But Toronto, I told you, I think is a wash. I don't think they're that great. They're now tied series with Washington.
8 seed.
I mean, come on with you.
Well, I mean, you look at, and that was the big thing we talked about. It was like, who would you love to see the Heat get? And it seemed like they got the worst team. 76ers are balling out. You would have looked at the Cavs. I think the Heat could have hung with them a little bit better.
Yep.
You look at the Celtics. They're tied 2 games apiece with the Bucks.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, Ricky, Raptors and Caps, that's 2 games apiece.
Everybody else is 2-2.
Yeah.
And LeBron, it's funny with the Cavs, they can easily be up 3-1 and also easily be down 3-1.
Yeah.
But the way that series has gone, it's nuts.
That game's weird, huh?
It is.
What is going on there?
There's a lot going on with that Cleveland series and LeBron.
It's pretty strange, but I mean, it just shows you how it just swings back and forth so much. But Philadelphia right now is just on an absolute tear.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the Cavs would have hung 130 and 128 on the Heat.
No.
I don't think that would have happened.
No.
And you have the best player in the entire world playing on that team. How the hell did it happen with these guys? So you got to give them a little credit.
Well, if you're trying to do that old Michael Jordan and LeBron, GOAT,
Right.
here's the latest stat everybody's throwing out. Most 30-point playoff games, Jordan's got 109, LeBron's now at 100.
He's close.
I don't believe you are an intelligent human being if you actually turn around and have a conversation about Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Come on.
I don't think you're an intelligent human being.
Why?
Because there's no comparison whatsoever. They are 2 completely different games. Michael Jordan did not play the type of game that LeBron plays now. LeBron does not play the type of game that Michael Jordan played back then. Imagine if LeBron was going against those Piston players. Oh my Lord, he would have had his tampons in a bunch every night. He would have been dead.
It's got to be the most overanalyzed topic in sports.
It is stupid.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not overanalyzed. It is ridiculous that people are still having this conversation. It's two totally different games.
I didn't think you'd take it too far. I mean, there's 2 things that popped in my head here. Number 1, I think you'd take it too far by saying it's a
Why?
stupid discussion.
It's a
Number
stupid
2,
discussion.
we are actually officially having that Pukey Sports Radio discussion of LeBron versus Jordan.
No, I'm trying to
That's
thwart this.
also
I'm trying to
happening.
thwart this by making you
you're
both
thwarting
feel
it. Okay.
dumber for having the conversation.
I'm
That's
just
what
telling you,
trying to
that's
do.
the latest stat they're throwing out there, and I'm not buying it. Yeah, I don't buy it.
You're not buying it?
No. Let's go on to something even more dumb.
Yeah.
The NFL draft on Thursday is probably going to be about maybe the only night worth watching. By the time you get to the 4th to the 7th round, and I think a lot of teams are starting to realize that. Everybody's got something that's going on. They're trying to do something to give it a reason to watch. I love what the Dolphins are doing. They're bringing out some of the Stoneman Douglas students to make their picks. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what do the Buccaneers do? They bring out a parrot named Jaja that is going. A parrot named Jaja is going to be delivering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft picks to an announcer that's going to be standing on the pirate ship at Raymond James Stadium.
Oh, I see.
From the 4th to 7th rounds.
Oh, all the 4th to 7th rounds?
4th to 7th rounds. They're going to tire this damn bird out so much.
Wait a second. So were they going to live stream it from the?
I think it's going to be wherever they
hell?
make their pick, and they're going to give it to like a passenger parrot that's going to fly it to an.
I love this.
It's like, what are we doing? I mean, really, what
It's
are
become
we doing?
such a clown show.
I
mean,
love it.
Maybe you do it one time, but the 4th to 7th rounds?
That's half the
that's
draft.
A bit much.
I mean, after a while, you're like, all right, come on, Tampa. See, what are we doing?
I want to see this bird's got to screw up at some point in time. Like you're leaving too much room for error there.
Who else could we do this with, though? Like Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, Pirates, I get it. So the bird, probably want a cracker type thing. Who else could we do
Broncos,
this
maybe
with?
we could ride a horse, a
Can
steed.
we do that? Yeah, there you go. Get the steed.
Is that what we're going to do?
Raiders, maybe get like a Chucky doll to bring up the picks. We can do that.
What?
John Gruden. Chucky.
Oh, I see.
what he did there?
I'm like, what the hell are you
Oh,
talking
well-
about, you psychopath? We're going to get a Chucky doll, and then for the 49ers, we're going to get a carrot? What the hell?
What the exactly? What the hell?
All right, so maybe not a Chucky doll.
Yeah, maybe not a
Yeah.
Chucky doll.
That's a
But
bad idea.
the bird thing is definitely bizarre. I don't.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I bet you are.
What did you guys think about Jay Feely? Got some heat over the weekend.
Oh, man.
Boy, it's such a predictable joke.
Yeah.
Jay Feely, Dolphins kicker from like 2007, something
Somewhere
like that.
in there,
Yeah. Over the weekend, his daughter was going to prom, and so he sent out a tweet with him standing between his daughter and her prom date, saying, "Wishing my beautiful daughter and her date a great time at prom. #BadBoys," and he's holding a gun.
Hilarious.
It's been done like so
Yeah.
many times, but people are
course.
flipping out. So then,
He's an irresponsible gun owner.
of course, he had to come back and issue an apology saying, quote, "The prom picture I posted was obviously intended to be a joke. My daughter has dated her boyfriend for over a year, and they knew I was joking. I take gun safety seriously, blah, blah, blah,
I
blah,
feel like
blah.
that's
No
how he
clip,
wrote
no
it.
bullet." Yeah.
Get a life, man.
His PR person is like, listen, dude, you got to do something here. You can't just let this go.
That's really where we are today. Like, you have to explain yourself after making a clear joke. He didn't have his finger on the trigger. You can pretty much assume that the gun wasn't loaded.
People love to be upset, man.
You know, nobody has a sense of
Love
humor
to be
anymore.
upset.
Amazing.
All right, well, I got to see the FAU spring game on Saturday. We're going to talk a little bit about that coming up. UCF getting some national championship rings and what is going on with some of the bigger programs. Knowles, will they be better? Will the Gators be better next year? And how about them Canes? Talking to former grad and also from College Game Day, the Bear, Chris Felica, joins us next.
Yep, he's here too. It's Kevin's Other Show, right here on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, I got to go check out the Fighting Owls on Saturday. They had their spring game, see how things looked. Got a couple new quarterbacks there. You got a new offensive coordinator, got a new defense. I'll let you know my thoughts that I saw this weekend, but somebody that well surpasses my college football knowledge. In fact, I would say arguably he might have the greatest knowledge of college football over anybody in the country.
Saying a lot of high praise.
I'm telling you, he knows his stuff. I'm always blown away to watch Chris Felica on College Game Day. The Bear is on with us right now. Chris, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Wanted to get your thoughts. Now that we've pretty much put spring football behind us, we got a little bit of a glimpse of some of the stuff that is going on here. Just wanted to get your take going into this coming year of what are some of the schools we should be enthusiastic about here in the state of Florida and the other ones we should be going, okay, they are not going in the right direction.
I think Miami fans need to be pretty enthusiastic about where they stand going into the 2018 season. Last year was a pleasant surprise in terms of the one-loss record, winning 10 games the first time in a long time, despite suffering through some pretty erratic quarterback play and losing a lot of guys to injury. They're not going to have a guy taken in the first couple of rounds on this weekend in the NFL draft, which means they got a lot of guys coming back. And I think the way the schedule breaks down for Miami, you have the first game against LSU, which they have obviously their own quarterback problems of their own, and they're a team that could really go either way in the SEC. Then you have a month off before your next challenge, which is going to be the Florida State game, which is home. And then you have another month off before your next biggest game, which is at Virginia Tech. So the way the schedule breaks down for Miami, it really plays out to a season where if they don't get back to the ACC championship game, I think there are going to be a lot of people extremely disappointed.
What do you see for them, though? Because they are going to always have to face off. I mean, Clemson is going to be that hurdle for them, that if they ever want to get into the Final Four and into the college football playoff, they're going to have to get past Clemson. I mean, do they have that kind of personnel this year to make that game happen? I mean, they would not be favored if they played in a week, right?
No, not at all. And I don't think they do have that proven talent yet, but I think they're on the way. But look at what happened last year. Everyone was saying all along, oh, there's no way a conference gets two teams in. And then you saw the SEC get both Alabama and Georgia in. And I think with the way the selection committee, I don't want to speak in absolutes, but it looks to me in terms of how the committee has treated certain teams in the first 4 years of existence, they are obviously much more likely to take two teams from a conference than they are a team with two losses. Now, I know Ohio State's loss in Iowa last year was awful.
Yes.
But, I mean, there have been a couple of examples in the few years there where there's a very qualified, I think, two-loss team. Stanford a couple of years ago being one of them, the team that annihilated Iowa in the Rose Bowl. But I think if they can somehow get to that ACC championship game undefeated, and maybe you'll lose a close-ish type game, and that's really your only poor performance of the year. It depends on what the rest of the country looks like. I'd never say never in terms of a conference getting two teams in.
Where do you think the Canes lack the most right now? Because they did make it to that ACC championship game, but you saw they were a long ways away from winning that. So at what positions, what does Miami have to do to get up that next level where they could be a team competing for the Final Four?
I think the elite quarterback play obviously is it stuck out like a sore thumb, especially late in the year. And again, you don't want to put it all on Malik's shoulders, because you have to remember at the time he was playing with a short-handed offensive line. You didn't have Amon Richards. You didn't have Chris Herndon. You didn't have Mark Walton. So I mean, arguably their three most explosive offensive weapons were out. So, but I'll be curious to see what the offense looks like with a little bit better of a passer, a more highly touted guy, and then some explosiveness in running back at wide receiver. I think as good as their offense was at times last year, and look, they did enough to go up and down the field on Virginia Tech and go up and down the field on Notre Dame. But I think against an elite national championship type team like Clemson and even Florida State, once they get back to where they were in recent years, they're going to need much better quarterback play.
Does Rozier, does he still remain quarterback for the Canes this year, do you think?
I wouldn't have thought so after the way that he ended the year, and then hearing the reports about N'Kosi Perry and how he's really come on and kind of absorbed more of the offense. He's more familiar with it now, performing much better. And then Jaron Williams enrolling early. But then you hear about Mark Richt and what he's saying right now in the spring about how Malik is still so far ahead in terms of recognizing things and getting the team in proper formation, getting them in and out of bad plays. I think talent-wise, I think most people are in agreement that Perry and Jaron Williams have a much higher ceiling. But right now, at least if you believe in what you hear out of camp, Malik is still the guy, and I'll be curious to see if that lasts through the fall practice or not.
Talking with Chris Felica here, the Bear from College Game Day. Looking at the Florida Gators, coming off a 4-7 season, but they are jacked right now in Gainesville. Very excited about Dan Mullen, and I think they're like so many other teams here in the spring. You're still trying to figure out some quarterback situations. How good can Florida be this year?
Well, I think they can be very good. You're looking in the SEC East, where outside of Georgia, there's nobody in that division that you're going to walk into and be completely terrified of. You look at their schedule this year; it breaks down very, very well. I mean, you get LSU at home, you have the cocktail party. South Carolina, who's arguably what you'd say in contention for the second best team in the SEC East, you get them at home. I don't see any reason why this could be again a team that wins 9 or 10 games in the regular season. Their defense has been very good, and Dan Mullen is very familiar with Gainesville, with Florida. You saw what he did with Florida-type talent when they were winning national championships there about 10 years ago. And then even he went to Mississippi State and turned Nick Fitzgerald into the quarterback with best QBR in the SEC last year. And he's not getting 4 or 5-star guys in Starkville at all. He's an offensive mind that can adapt to the players he has around him. And I think that it'll be interesting. That Tennessee game, the second SEC game, the first road game, with the Balls having a new head coach as well and undergoing a lot of changes as well. I think that'll be a very key game to see if Florida indeed can be that second-place team in the SEC East, or if maybe they did indeed lose a little bit too much and they'll fall back. But I think Florida, I think that the change alone, back to the culture that Urban Meyer had when he was there, Dan's familiar with that, and I think Florida is a team that will have a much better year this year.
Florida State, same thing though. So are we seeing a lot of Florida teams trending up? The Noles have got to be better than 7-6 this year, wouldn't you say?
I would think so. But what concerned me last year was, you lose Derwin James, and then you lose DeAndre Francois this past year. There were just some utter no-shows, though. I mean, it was impossible that their offense was so bad. And I know a lot of Florida State fans have been calling for a more up-tempo offense, a more risk-taking offense, and hopefully now with Willie Taggart and what he will bring, what he did at South Florida, what he did at Oregon, hopefully a lot of their wishes will be realized. But again, the Noles are a team that, I mean, they get no breaks. I mean, you start out, but 3 of your first 6 games are Virginia Tech, at Louisville, and at Miami. So I mean, that's a pretty tough slate right out of the gate. I mean, we all got a glimpse of what Cam Akers can do at running back late last year when he was finally given a chance to play a lot. And I think there are great things there. But again, Florida State's offense, especially their receiver play, I think it's going to have to get a whole lot better if we're going to think that, like Miami has to improve a quarterback and wide receiver, I think Florida State has to improve at wide receiver a ton in order for the Noles to compete with Clemson for an ACC title.
Who's the quarterback this year in Tallahassee?
I think it's got to be Francois, right?
Well, he just had that marijuana thing. I don't know if that's enough.
I guess how much does it hurt him? I mean, that whole investigation was kind of weird from what we were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seemed like I can't say I know everything about it, but it just seemed like a very minimal amount for a lot of. Seemed like a lot of bang for a whole lot, not a lot of buck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I don't know all the details, but. I would maybe he won't start the opener, or maybe that'd be a big thing if he gets suspended for the opener against the Hokies and a pretty good defense start the season. That'd be a pretty big deal. But I would think that would will straighten itself out. I think he'll be the guy going into the game.
Got Chris Fallica, the Bear, on here from College Game Day. Give us a quick thought on our FAU Owls here. 11-3 season. Do they build off that, or do they take a step backwards? They got a new offensive coordinator, really young guy, but apparently he's an idiot savant when it comes to running offenses, and he's got the tutelage to do it. Charlie Weiss Jr. is now going to be calling the shots in Boca Raton. What are your thoughts on the Owls this year?
Well, obviously, to have the type of year they did last year, I think will be a little bit would be a surprise for everybody. But again, they still have a ton of offensive talent. I know you mentioned Charlie Weiss Jr. and now on the offensive side of the ball, but Lane's still there. Lane's still having a big say in what's going on. They certainly have an interesting opener going to Oklahoma, but again, last year they had that opener against Wisconsin and got beat, and then from there beat the teams that they should have beaten. I'm curious to that early season game at UCF early in the year. That'll be an interesting game to see if they can go up to Orlando and compete with the Knights. But again, I think there's no reason to expect the Owls can't compete, especially with Singletary. I don't think there's any reason why they can't compete again for another conference title.
Yep. Just go ahead and take the over in that game right now, Bear.
That has like 55, 51 written all over.
I'm telling you. If they put that game at 90, I'm still taking the over.
That was like the UCF South Florida game at the end of the year last year. Unbelievable. It was like, okay, whoever gets the ball last is ultimately going to win. And finally, it was a great defensive play at the end of the game, which gave UCF the win.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a good time of year when you see Chris Fallica back on your TV on College Game Day. Bear, thanks for jumping in with us today. We appreciate it.
Of course, anytime, guys.
Okay, buddy. Talk to you soon. Give you a little bit more thoughts on FAU, their spring game from this weekend, too. We're going to get to that coming up. And are you buying what exactly UCF did on Saturday?
What dopes?
Continued silliness. Ricky Bobby thinks they're dopes. What did they do? We'll give you the full rundown coming up next.
Get Kevin's other show whenever the hell you want on YouTube and at 640thehurricane.com.
What is it, still 420?
Well, it didn't work on 420, so I thought 423 would be just fine.
Had to get his Jimmy Buffett in here.
I had to use it.
Oh,
it's in my library.
Wow. Love it.
Right.
He loves him some Jimmy Buffett.
Dude.
Yeah.
Is this a stoner song? This doesn't qualify?
No, it does not. No. This is Grandma's song. Yeah.
This is I just ate at Margaritaville and I bought a T-shirt. So
Yeah.
Oh, man.
all right.
I'll close it up a little bit. See the other stuff going on college football-wise. I went to the FAU spring game on Saturday and checked that out. Probably the biggest surprise for me was it was the defense that looked impressive and not the offense.
Really?
I thought the offense was a little bit sluggish. You want to be in a 2014 game, but considering what FAU typically was doing as far as just the offense running a play every 13 seconds and that high octane and running up 50 points like it's nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the quarterback play looked a little sloppy. In fact, to let you know, the stat, Chris Robinson had 2 really good tackles, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Until you say he's the quarterback.
Oh.
That means he's chasing down.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, people that have picked off his ball.
That's not good.
Yeah, and he had one too. It was just something that you would think that you should see coming. I mean, it was the blitz, and it wasn't on his blind side. It was right there. It was like, get rid of the ball. Boom, got it, ran it back, and he had to wrangle him down and save the touchdown. He had 2 touchdown-saving tackles.
But he had some good tackles.
He had some good tackles.
All right, positive.
If he doesn't do quarterback, you might want to move him to linebacker.
Yeah, exactly. The outside pass rush might be good for him.
Yeah.
He knows how the quarterback sort of works.
He's multi-talented.
Yeah.
Good.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was DeAndre Johnson I saw doing that. I'm trying to get these 2 guys straight. Chris Robinson is the guy that is the Oklahoma transfer that was going in there. And he both quarterbacks had a few decent moments, but for the most part, it looked like they just really were not clicking to the kind of standards they would. DeAndre Johnson's the guy that was at Florida State. He's the one that punched that chick in the bar.
Nice.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Chris Robinson's the guy that had the severe intoxication at Oklahoma and got booted out of that program.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I love that Kiffin just finds these guys. Yeah, come on, I'll give you a second
Normally
chance over
people
here.
like that end up in Delray, not Boca.
Yeah.
For them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
Javon Durant, though, he's a guy that seems to have no baggage, though. He's just a West Virginia transfer wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
He
I was
going to
say, I
out.
was like, what does he do? Main line?
Yeah, no, nothing sketchy on him. He's just a South Florida kid that wanted to come home, and so he looked good. So looks like you got an all-star there.
All right, keep it together, pal.
Yeah, but other than that, FAU, you didn't see what you would expect, but not too bad. Will they be 11-3, or will they best on that? It'll be interesting to see when they start off against Oklahoma. And as Chris Felica mentioned just a second ago, when we had him on here, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that UCF game. I think they moved that to a Friday night, so that might be a premier.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, kind of like national game. A lot of people might be watching.
Is that down here or is it up in Orlando? I haven't seen the schedule. You know off the top of your head?
No, I don't. I'm trying to remember. Can't
look it
say
up.
with confidence. I thought, I don't know.
We can
What
use
am I
the
gonna say?
internet and find out.
Yes.
I'm going to tap
We'll find
into
out.
my very, very reliable sources.
Okay, good job.
Well, I'll kill time and talk about UCF getting themselves everything you would want as a national champion. How cool is this? They got national championship rings, and they hung a 2017 national championship banner
That's
Unreal.
good,
out
man.
at their spring
Awesome.
game on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, this is official? Like, this is school official? They're doing this?
School official, yeah. They even got a parade in Disney in January. Governor Rick Scott said, at least for the state of Florida, we recognize you as national champions. They're talking
right.
about doing a license plate recognizing UCF as national champions.
That's right. I remember that.
I mean, they finished 13-0. They were, that undefeated team.
I mean, is these people serious?
They said, hey, we
They
beat
are.
Auburn, who beat both Alabama and Georgia. So we deserve it, but no, that's just not how it works. I mean, I think everybody was in agreement that we're going to take the top 4 teams. You guys didn't make it in, even though you're 13-0, because you just don't. I mean, you roll through your regular season as playing FAU.
Yeah, should they have had a better, if it was 6 teams, should they have been one of those 6
Sure,
teams?
yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Would they have won? Not a chance in anybody's hell, regardless of what religion you're in.
Against Alabama or?
Get the heck! Of course not. They
Okay.
would have rolled. UCF would have been so brutalized. 90% of those guys would have just transferred. They're like, I don't even want to wear this uniform anymore. It would have
Come
been
on.
so bad.
Yeah, I mean, they had some cute games. I mean, it was awesome. They had some great wins.
They
But
did. No, good for them.
it is.
But with the national championship, give me a break here.
I mean, there's just that thing you got to say when you are playing that upper echelon Power 5 conference ball, what it's doing to the players in the athleticism you're playing, and you
Yeah.
don't have those games that you're snoozing on. I mean, Felica mentioned the awful Ohio State loss that they had to Iowa. That's the kind
that
of
was really bad.
it was horrible. But, that's the kind of stuff that happens. I can promise you, if Ohio State's playing Old Dominion, they're not going to get that sneak up, and Old Dominion's going to lay 55 on Ohio State.
Right.
When you're
Yeah.
playing teams like Iowa, you're like going, okay, you don't take them seriously, but that's the kind of team that every now and then can just jump out of nowhere and ambush you.
Yeah.
You know, and they were coming off that Penn State win. So,
Right, and it was a night game in Iowa.
yeah.
So that was a tricky situation. Are you guys completely 100% convinced that UCF would have had no shot against Alabama?
No shot whatsoever.
Well-
I mean, well, this is the thing. I don't know if you could say that just because it's like, you never know what happens.
Here's the thing that it is now. It's not getting into the national championship game. It's getting into the game that gets you into the national championship.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got to play two. I mean, that back-to-back competition of getting beat up. And okay, so let's say that, UCF in that game where they came out and they were able to beat Auburn. Okay, Auburn, even though they're not even a final. Okay, that's your play-in game. Now you still would have to go out. To me, before you want to say you're a national champion, you still have to play that final game, which they did not. That's
Yes.
why you can't even say it, because you didn't play that final game.
Now, they
100%
can't
agree.
say it. I mean, if they want to do it, make themselves feel better, fine for them and their fan base. It is what
You're
it is.
A little bit
It's
of
not
a
official.
sore winner.
When
I
are they?
guess.
When are they going to do this again? When are they going to go 13-0? When are they going to have those kind of signature wins? Because do you see UCF anytime soon getting added to the ACC? Do you see them anytime soon getting
They would
picked up by
have-
the SEC?
They would have to
I don't see it, no.
consistently be 13-0
Yeah, you have
or
to
12-1 for the next 3 years.
You have to prove that you've outplayed your conference.
Yes,
Then they'll
exactly.
move you.
Yeah, the only way it's going to happen is if they expand the playoffs to 6 or 8 teams.
Yeah.
That's the only way that UCF in the future will have a chance in. But are
And
they
in that shot, they should have had a chance. But
right? If it was 6 teams, they would have gotten in.
They
but
would've
they
gotten
didn't.
in. I think so.
I'm just saying they beat Auburn, and I'm not completely convinced that they wouldn't have had a shot against Alabama. That's all I'm saying.
I can't argue with them.
But
though.
didn't they beat
It's-
Auburn in the bowl game?
It was the
though?
bowl
They
game.
did, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, but they didn't go. Their regular schedule is not very tough,
No.
No.
and that's really where
You're
the
not
strength
getting
of
beaten up.
schedule matters more in college football than it does in any other sport. I
Yeah.
mean,
You're not getting-
it's actually the only sport where it matters.
Right, you're not getting beaten up like some of the other teams.
Yeah.
So, and you had that great win against Auburn, but there
Good
won.
job.
There won a ton of others.
I mean, they have rings. They gave them championship rings.
Yeah.
Oh, they're stupid. They're stupid. I mean, that's just stupid. Like, I mean, if I went to UCF, I would have been. I'd be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You didn't win. Quit it.
You sell T-shirts, you sell marketing. That's what it's all about. It's cute. Everybody seems to be buying into it. They even did a national championship cop car on the campus of UCF.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah,
Let
that's
it
how much
go,
they're buying
people.
into it, man.
Now, I do believe the college football playoff system is complete horse crap. The fact that they get a panel of people to sit there and go, this one, that, and the other is stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. But, I mean, you didn't win. Get over yourselves, UCF.
Canes did something cool that I didn't even know they did on Saturday. I thought they were done when they did their spring game, but they wouldn't. They do an alumni scrimmage.
Oh,
They had
cool.
Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne, Kellen Winslow,
Nice.
Lamar Thomas. Yeah, they had hundreds of Canes football alumni at Cobb Stadium, and they wrapped up. It was their 15th and final practice. Didn't even know they were doing something like that. I don't know if it was open to the public, but how awesome would that be to go and check out a game like that?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea they did that.
Yeah.
Do all schools do that?
No, I don't know if any other school does that, but I kind of like that alumni presence, and especially if you're Canes, with 5 national championships, bring those guys back.
I do remember hearing about one of those. It was either Nebraska or Kentucky that had an alumni game, because I remember seeing the story about like this 95-year-old World War II veteran that was an alumni there, and they had him come in and run for a touchdown. I forget which school it was though.
I am
He's
so
still
get-
running.
I am so getting tired of that gimmick. It was kind of cute, but the patronizing, you're going to score a touchdown against.
You know,
And we're gonna act like we're
everybody
running
says,
after you.
and then they fall away from it.
You're not
It's
for it
so
anymore.
it's so ridiculous. There's a reason why
So
you're football
ridiculous.
players and not actors. Okay. Get
Coming
over
up here
it.
in a couple minutes, was Derek Jeter acting when he was going off with Bryant Gumbel? Mm-hmm. This interesting stuff's going to be airing tomorrow night on HBO, but Bryant Gumbel goes after Derek Jeter and saying, hey, are you tanking with the Marlins? And Jeter gets a little defensive. You'll get to hear that audio coming up next.
Be part of the show on Twitter at 640 The Hurricane, hashtag Kevin's Other Show.
Whipping them all out today, I guess.
That's a good song.
What is this, like your 420 carryover?
This is what it is.
Stuff I didn't get
All
to
the
use.
songs he couldn't play on 420 because they were not 420 songs.
Right.
He's decided to use today.
My
They're
420
423 songs.
That's all they are, 423.
That's what they 423. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I don't know where you want to start with the Miami Marlins when you're talking depressing. They came off of a series in Milwaukee where they were swept 4-2. One of their former stars, Christian Yelich, had a 2-run home run yesterday. Marlins are now 5-16, buried way in the basement of the NL East, already 9.5 games out of first place.
Nice.
Gosh.
Good start.
I mean,
162 games, though. I mean, there's still plenty of time to suck.
I mean, this looks like tanking, doesn't it? It smells like tanking. I mean, this is tanking, right?
What it looks like.
Well, this is the thing. Is it like tanking it's the team? Like, I mean, they can't help it. They just suck, right? Like, I mean, like, what's the difference between tanking and just sucking?
Well, the tanking has to do with the front office.
That's
They're
what it is.
tanking.
That's where
the
that's where it
tanking.
relies. Okay.
Yeah, I
all
mean,
right.
this isn't kind of like NBA tanking where they're trying to get a better lottery pick, and so they're wanting the players to be like, "Hey, don't try your hardest." No,
Yeah,
I mean,
what's the purpose of tanking in baseball?
there's no. Well, this is just basically. I don't know if tanking's even the right word
That's what I'm trying to figure
that
out.
Bryant Gumbel went down. I mean, this is.
It's not like what do you get a better draft pick?
Yeah,
What does it make a
it's-
difference? You draft somebody, they don't show up to your team for until 5 years later.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's a
think
different system.
I think the motivation on this for Jeter is it looks like, okay, the more money he's saving and making the franchise, or at least the lower he can cut the payroll, the more bonus he's going to get. So personally,
Wow, what
this
an ass.
could benefit him financially by the moves that he's made. This is going to be airing tomorrow night, HBO's Real Sports, 10 o'clock. It's Bryant Gumbel talking to Derek Jeter about tanking.
Tanking. What is not tanking?
Tanking is not trying your hardest to win ball games every day.
We're trying to win ball games every day.
If you trade your best players in exchange for prospects, it's unlikely you're going to win more games in the immediate future.
When you take the field, you have an opportunity to win each and every day. Each and every day. You never tell your team that they're expected to lose.
Yeah, but you don't do anything to help him win.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not like you're helping them at all.
Listen, when you bring back Cameron Maben and make a big deal out of that, it's front
Right.
office tanking. That's what it is.
Never.
Not
Now
so-
you can think. Now I can't tell you how you think. Like I see your mind. I see that's how you think. I don't think like that. That's your mind
No, I
working
get
like
that, but I guess not in so many words.
you don't. But you don't get it.
I do.
You don't. We have two different minds. I can't wait to get you on the golf course, man.
Whoa.
I can't wait for this one.
No, I mean,
You're mentally weak.
Wow! That was rude.
He is an ass.
Mentally weak.
Mentally weak.
It's a Bryant Gumbel.
Yeah.
Woof. This is like sports journalism, like hierarchy. How dare you, Derek Jeter?
I think a lot of, watching the clip itself, and we've got it on our Twitter if you want to go watch it at Kevin's other show. It seems like a lot of it is playful, but you
Yeah.
can tell Derek Jeter doesn't like the insinuation that he's making, that it's like, you've put your team in a position where they can't be expected to win, yet you
Yeah.
still expect them to win. And that's ultimately what it is.
It's fair. It's a
Yeah.
fair assertion, and Jeter needs maybe some thicker skin in this interview. I don't know.
I'm realistic. You really expect this team
I expect
as
this team
presently
to
configured
compete.
to contend.
To compete.
And,
To compete.
compete is one
Every
thing.
but
Compete
listen,
is one
listen,
thing.
right, but see-
Watch my lips. Not compete.
I see your.
Contend.
I see.
Now
fighting words.
Brian's coming back.
Yeah.
Brian Gumbel's like, hey, listen here,
He's like,
Jeter.
I'm already on the golf course.
I've been doing this a long time. You don't come at me like this.
Your lips. I see. I've been seeing them this whole interview. I see your lips moving constantly. You never tell your players that you are expected to lose. You don't do that.
Okay, yeah, you don't, but you don't do anything to help them win.
That's basically what it's coming down to.
You should take that as a slap in the face. As a player, you should take that as a slap in the face.
Do you expect them to contend?
I do. I do.
Come on.
If I don't believe in the players that we have on the field, who's going
don't.
to believe in them?
Nobody.
As an executive, it looks like you're delusional if you believe otherwise.
Well, call me delusional.
Yeah, all right, you're delusional then.
Well, at least it's
said it.
finally been said, and it came from the horse's mouth too. I am delusional.
Yeah, I guess we'll just settle at that. I mean, if you go down the list, the hitting's bad, run differential worst in the major leagues, pitching worst. I mean, awful. Awful.
You are passing nothing, sir.
No.
Does he really expect us, Derek Jeter, that is, to really believe him when he says that he thinks, in his mind, that this team can compete? This is a guy that comes from excellence, okay? He was the captain of the Yankees and won multiple World Series titles. He He expects us to think that. He really thinks this team, constructed the way it is, can compete.
No, there's no way he believes that.
No.
There's no way he believes that.
He's a big fat liar.
I think there's a difference between saying, I want you to try your hardest to win, but no, there's no way that he expects him to compete. And any time in the near future either. I don't know. I mean, you look like you are years away.
Yeah.
Minimum 5 before you'll do anything. Likely longer, unless you're going to pay something for free agents, and they're clearly not going to.
That's not the plan right now. And Gumbel's completely in the right, isn't he, in this interview? I mean,
he's a journalist. He's supposed to ask the question, and that's the burning question. Do you think that you are actually putting out a team that's going to be able to do anything with its career?
I love how he snapped back, too, and there was so much uncomfortable laughter in that, wasn't there?
Yeah. You're just trying to say yes. You know, I didn't even think there was any value in baseball cards because, man, I remember when I was a kid, I thought I got the 83, 84 top set, and I thought one day, my friend, this is going to be your retirement.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up, and it's worth maybe a nickel more than I paid for it back in 1984.
Well, hey, at least it went north at some point in time.
But apparently, retired NFL lineman Evan Mathis sold a 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie card on Thursday night for $2.88 million.
Oh, that hurts.
Time to start ripping out your baseball cards there, sir.
Gosh. How about that? $2.88 million. The only card to sell for more money is a 1909 Honus Wagner card, which everybody had that fake duplicate of that Honus Wagner card.
Right.
That went for $3 million in 2016.
I'm just so confused. Why is it worth so much money? It's a friggin' piece of paper.
I know.
It's the value behind it. I mean,
why that card and nothing else?
Sitting in a museum or something? $2 million.
Well, what hurts to me right now when you say that is my dad growing up was in the time where he could actually get Mickey Mantle baseball cards.
Yeah.
I don't think he had his rookie card, but he did have Mickey Mantle baseball cards where he's told me this story numerous times that he would just throw out the window and collect the bubble gum.
Yeah.
In the package. That's what they used to do. They didn't know.
But
So
most
basically,
of those cards,
you just called your dad old and stupid?
Well,
is that what you just did?
He didn't know. He was a kid.
Wow.
Your words,
wow.
not mine.
I'm just
okay.
That's
be a
what you
millionaire.
insinuated.
Why'd you have to throw out your cards?
All right, well, hey, if you want to check this show out, you can watch us on YouTube, Kevin's Other Show. Get the podcast, too. It's up there every single day, segment for segment, or get the whole show total. And you can also follow us. Do it right now on Twitter, Kevin's Other Show.
You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach. A world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.